Very warm welcome to this week, 60 minutes of analytical review of the big stories, topical issues and all the controversies around the world. I'm Sumner Sambo. In the headlines, Nigerians set agenda for new federal cabinet ahead of inauguration on Monday. And West Africa defense chiefs agreed to a date to strike in Niger Republic and restore constitutional order after a coup in the country. Stay with us as we bring you all the details. Well, the anxiety over the cabinet of President Bola Tinubu may have finally been laid to rest following the allocation of portfolios to all 45 ministers designated, earlier confirmed by the Nigerian Senate. The sharing of the various portfolios has, however, continued to spark reactions in different parts of the country, with some questioning the way the president had deemed it necessary to assign certain portfolios and ministries of government. The controversies around the appointment of ministers and their portfolios will form part of our talking points today as Nigerians set agenda and look forward with great expectations ahead of the inauguration of the federal cabinet on Monday. But what should be the agenda for the new federal cabinet, and what immediate and remote steps should be taken to drive and achieve the agenda? Nigerians spoke on this when we heard their views all across the country. Let's listen to them.
Being a country facing challenging times, Nigeria is in need of urgent fixing, thus raising the question whether Tinubu's choice of ministers are the best set of hands to do the job of rescuing a poor economy, an ailing health sector, or a worsening security situation. Nigerians have been making their honest assessments of the track records of the individuals now assigned the huge task of taking the country back on track. A cross-section of Nigerians in Port Harcourt, the River State capital, are expressing mixed views.
We have often in Nigeria seen portfolios and positions given to people who, in quotes, may not have the environment at heart. So we will say that they should put the square peg in the square hole and put a round peg in a round hole.
The tenure of Emilokon is over. We are looking at governance now. He said it was his turn. So we want to believe that saying that it was his turn means that it was his turn to make Nigeria better than the way it were. Not to make Nigeria fall short of expectation. Everybody is looking at what his expectations or what his governance or his government will come out to be.
For those in the academic community, there is little optimism on Tinubu's choice of ministers, as a cross-section of students and lecturers of the University of Ibadan express some doubt on their capacity to deliver.
You cannot say it's 100% okay, but when you look at some key areas, as in economics, communication, and some other basic, the judiciary too, as in the justice minister, whatever, you see that those who are there, they are people that are very competent, and we believe they can move things forward for us.
As I expected, for example, the Bagudu, like Minister for Defense, that one is still okay. But for me, to all these Southwest people, I'm not cool with them. They don't even align their portfolio with the people. Does not really align.
Some residents of Borno, Benue and Plateau states are equally lending their voices on the assessment of Tinubu's cabinet members.
I know a few of them, like Nelson Wiki, the immediate past governor of River State. It is on record, and we cannot deny that fact. Wiki has transformed River State because he's somebody that has an ambition. He cannot fail. And if you go to Ebonyi State, you can see what the immediate past governor, he also transformed Ebonyi State. Go to Abakaliki and see. You think you are in London.
I think that to rejig the economy is the foremost thing that can be done. To give concern to the insecurity that has bothered Nigerians in the last couple of years is of very paramount importance. And I think that Nigerians would be expecting that all of these ministers would hit the ground running. But of course, in hitting the ground running, we must be very, very careful in terms of what they do, what they bring on the table, and how the president is is able to act also on those things. So I think by and large, Nigerians are expecting quite a number of things, and in expecting those things, I think that it is the responsibility of government to ensure that they are brought to bear on Nigerians.
Nigerians in the southeastern part of the country are also expressing their thoughts on the ministerial portfolios and their expectations.
Expectedly, they should work for Nigeria and serve Nigerians. That is what we are looking up to them. Their portfolios and every other thing is also based on partisan consideration, not necessarily competence. That is where I have issue.
Somebody who managed the affairs of a state as a governor, you are not bringing that person back to manage a ministry. When that person, as a matter of fact, did not fare well as a governor. So I would say that the manner and mode of appointing ministers does not go well for good governance of this country. And once the country is not properly governed, certainly everything will fall apart.
Hitting the ground running seems a cliche now associated with the Tinubu-led government. But expression of intention and actually getting the job done are two different subjects, and in Nigeria's case, a real big deal.
Well, to help us understand the issues raised by Nigerians, we have joining us a federal commissioner in the Public Complaints Commission, Honorable Ezekiel Dalhatu. Is also the commissioner representing the FCT and in charge of the Federal Capital Territory. Thank you so much, Honorable Commissioner, for joining us. And we had to bring you here because you will hear Nigerians from different parts of the country expressing your views. Yeah. What sort of complaints have you been receiving, if there are any, on some of the ministers designate as they come into office? And what's your general aggregate of expectations that Nigerians will be expecting from these people based on some of the complaints that people bring to you, your commission, and say, look, this is what we want our government to do for us?
Thank you very much once again for this platform, Somna and Arise TV, and then for giving the Public Complaints Commission the latitude and the platform to also engage Nigerians in form of having a feedback mechanism of what's the impulse of the people all around there. And to say there is an official complaint on the ministerial appointment, I'll say no. But you know, human being complains at any given opportunity, and then it could be written, it could be spontaneous, it could be unconscious, it could be by way of just sight bites in form of what are the conversations. Generally, Nigerians felt there should have been something different in terms of the procedure that brought in the ministerial nominee. What I mean by that, you will hear a lot of people saying they take your bow and go syndrome will have been dealt with by now. Seeing the body language of Tinubu, a very serious-minded, committed fellow who means well for this country, who in his body language you see one who really want to change the narrative. So that body language from the onset, people felt it won't be business as usual, where a nominee will just come and then take a bow and go. That's one breath. And then the second breath will have been that the nominee will have had their portfolios attached to their names, to mean that there will be a direction towards the questions that they will be asked. The
senators will be asking.
The senators will be asking that. So if you have a nominee who has a portfolio of Minister of Power or Minister for Power, then you reduce yourself into the nitty-gritties, into the crux of what will be the cut-out job that will be cut out, the job that is cut out for him to come and perform. And then we'll have these performer indexes that you will hold him responsible for, you know. And then also you will hear feelers where people felt the screening will have been on performance-based indices. You know, it is not enough that the president have nominated someone. Let it be that he has that bridge to cross at the National Assembly by way of his performance. So Nigerians were like, want to see people coming to like, you have a job interview just like Arise want to recruit me, then there is an interview for me, and the questions are well set out for me to respond. And if I don't meet the expectation of the examiner based on the marking scheme, I should not be passed.
Well,
so
there are 3 persons who were not passed by the Senate based on security clearance.
That's the point. Is security clearance, not by their performances at the National Assembly when they were engaging them with questions to respond, to show if they have the capacity or not. So this is what Nigerians are saying, that going forward, we should make it a full-fledged job interview where you want to recruit competency, you want to recruit people who have the savvy, who are well-grounded in whatever ministry you will want to take them. So these are part of the
things that you would have been hearing.
Yes, yes.
All right, so let's get into the real matter now. Your views on the assignment of portfolios generally. We've seen Wiki coming to the FCT. We've seen Wale Edun going to the Ministry to be the coordinating minister of the economy, Ali Party going to health, transportation, Adeboyega Oyetola, and then of course works David Umahi. What's the thinking that you think that President Tinubu is trying to provide with all these people? Because there are some people also who say that some of the former governors who showed themselves in delivering critical projects have been given critical assignments, people like David Umahi and Wiki.
I think to some extent President Tinubu have tried to not just be on the side of just compensating for political gain. You will see him fishing out and then scouting out people who has the capacity to deliver in one form of duty or the other. But for some few, that the majority of people are feeling is not adding up, where you will have a barrister to having to take care of the aviation, and people are asking to say, what's the background, what's the knowledge, what's the world without, what does he know about the technicality surrounding that sector? And where you will have some people say you have an old man having to man the youth ministry and all that. But for the few that you are having this concern, you will see that the round peg is being placed on the round hole, and then to mean that you will see people like some ex-governor Umahi, Wike, the man from Oshun and all of that.
Yeah, Oyetola.
Yeah, Oyetola. They have a whole lot of job being cut out for them to really, and Nigeria we're having a high expectation. People report so much confidence in, and so the expectation is so high for them to deliver. And then there are, critically, they have also, I don't want to say they are on a hot seat per se, because they know their onions, but for the fact that Nigerians have so much expectation, then it also means that they have a whole lot to do in order to deliver. The body language, the posture of President Tinubu, if you check, like a lot of people will say, what happened that Alake is not manning the information ministry? Is he taken to solid mineral and all of that? But when you now check critically, you will now see that after the screening, the president took his time to do some analysis and to put all these persons in check to ensure that they all have capacity to match the responsibility he wants to. So I want to feel that the president did not get it in error. He's not missing anything, except when they get the ground running, and we'll see what they are bringing to the table in terms of performance. And something that is key, which I feel should be put in place this time around. Let's have a yardstick that we can judge these ministers. Like in the past, they are sworn in, they come in, we don't know what they are meeting, where are they taking off from, and when they are going out, what is it that they have achieved, what optive, what are the gains, what's exactly what we can rely on to say, in this ministry, this is A, B, C, D that has been achieved. So we should have those yardsticks, let's create that kind of scenario where these ministers will actually be put to, for Nigerians to x-ray them and see their level of performance.
All right, so what are the specific areas that you think that this government can help to deliver? What are the things that Nigerians are counting on these new ministers to do in terms of power, healthcare, the economy. Of course, everybody's going through a lot right now in the economy and all of that. But what are the specific areas that you think that this government should focus on as the ministers are going to be inaugurated on Monday?
Three critical sectors or concern that I feel, if well manned and then well put in place, will have some semblance of relief. In the words of Mr. President, he said, "Let the poor breathe, and then they should not be suffocated in any way." You see, the issue of power.
Contradictory. It looks like the president is even contradicting himself when he made that statement, because a lot of people are saying that they are unable to totally breathe under this fuel subsidy removal and other policies that he has put in place. But we can see that he's trying very quickly to see how he will bring palliatives and all of that, and he's still being, you know,
and they said that the president will tell you there is no any glory without story. So whatever you will gain at the end of the day, you have some pain to go through. I'm not speaking on the breadth of being a spokesperson for the president, but that's the body language and the posture he has said that we need to endure for some time. And I feel it will be good for Nigerians to give him that space so we can judge him by his words, you know, because the three critical area, the power sector, if well fixed, I'm sure the SMEs, you know, the little, you know, companies, and then people who even tell us, shoemakers, cobblers, and all of that, everything will take shape. And then when you fix security, which is key, a lot of people, some now, I fear for what I see and receive as complaint. Just recently, in Rubochi market, normally Rubochi, within the FCT, in Rubochi market, I was told that they couldn't even get some grain to even buy, as a result of high cost of transportation. Secondly, as a result of farmers, even within the FCT, not accessing their farms for the fear of these bandits, kidnappers, and all of that. So you will see that the locals, where normally the people who leave the urban town, people leave the urban communities to go to the rural communities, get this grain, get this raw material, food items at cheaper rate, and bring them to the city center. The reverse is now becoming the case, which signals the fear of hunger, crisis, which gives so
is that part of the reason also, sorry to interject, that part of the reason why the president maybe would have released this 5 billion naira to each of the states, and then saying that, you know, food and all sort of things should actually be provided,
which goes to show that he actually feels the impulse of Nigerians, he's feeling the concern. It may be little, but that he's having that, he's moving, he's making an effort to address it is something I feel we should appreciate. But then the point I'm raising is the issue of insecurity, especially in the rural communities, need to be addressed. So power, security, and the economy. And if these three things are fixed, every other thing will be taken care of. Well, my opinion.
Honorable Commissioner, you understand how politics goes in this country. Some of these 45 nominees will just look at their appointments as a manna from heaven. It's time to go and enjoy in government. And even some of their supporters, that's what they will be thinking. What would be your advice to these people as to the importance of their job at this critical point of our nationhood? How important is it for each of these ministers designate to take their jobs seriously and attend to Nigerians?
If I have opportunity of sitting one-on-one with Mr. President, I will tell him one thing, that it should not be business as usual. People should be held responsible for their action and inactions, especially in government, and especially when it has to do with giving you a duty, it has to giving you a responsibility to carry out. Mr. President, in his wisdom, wouldn't have been running around to fix the agriculture, to fix this, to fix. He needs people that will do this. Now that you have people, if I have opportunity of speaking with Mr. President, I will tell him that there should be a feedback mechanism, there should be a checklist, there should be a way of checking performance, you know, quarterly of some of these ministers, and that he should not hesitate in reshuffling. You hire them, you can fire them at any time if they are not performing. If they have this fear of being fired at any moment for purpose and for the reason of no performance, not like what we see in the last dispensation,
Yeah,
where it was as if once you are appointed, whether you are performing or not, you have a ticket for 4 years. They were not elected. They were hired to serve this country. They are hired to serve Nigerians. Once this thing is in place and this minister knows too well that I'm not sitting here for 4 or 3 years, but I will be judged by my performance every quarter, I wouldn't have a problem if we are changing minister after 6 months or 7 for the purpose of non-performance, because Mr. President really needs to get results. There's a whole lot he has promised Nigerians, and from my feelings and from the feelers, Nigerians have so much confidence on President Tinubu to deliver us from the shackles and the dungeon of penury and then what people are going through.
And then you will discover in terms of governance, structure and policies. In the past, we had the late Abakari in 2015 being given what looked like, the de facto vice presidential or presidential powers to actually be the one that will be meeting with the ministers. We haven't heard President Tinubu asking Gbajabiamila to be the one that all the ministers will be reporting to. Or maybe on Monday he may say that. But in your own estimation and knowing how governments work, how will you ask this government to coordinate this huge number of ministers that they are going to have? They plan to have 48, unlike under Buhari that we had 42. How do they coordinate this ministers so that some people will not even be in the cabinet and they will be sleeping?
Just like you said, even during Obasanjo he had 42, Buhari had 42, and Yar'Adua had about 37, 42, thereabout. So these are about the highest number of ministers we having. And just like you said, there should be clear code of coordination for the government. The issue of ministers reporting to chief of staff, reporting to, if that's the best way you think you can get the needed results, so you are not overburdened with certain issues, fine, so be it. All we need is results. Mind you, but one thing we must put in place this time around is who checks the checker, and also monitoring, the aspect of monitoring. Not that you have ministers, you don't care what they do. Thank God we have Minister for Special Duty, where our brother,
in the FCT you were given,
is coordinating, and the major work in that ministry is to monitor. Mr. President should give him all the necessary support and leverage to really monitor what everybody is doing. Let's have them very plain to Nigerians to x-ray. Let there be mechanisms that we can actually x-ray what everybody is doing. And whoever you are reporting to is not our business as Nigerians, but we really need to get the result. The education sector, the power sector, the Minister for Economy, Agriculture, let all hands be on deck, and no stone should be left unturned.
All right, let's talk about Nelson Wiki being sent to the FCT. You are here as a commissioner in charge of the Public Complaints Commission in the Federal Capital Territory, and you know some of the challenges that have been faced. I mean, Nelson Wiki has been sent to the FCT, and then together with his Minister of State, what are the expectations from the people of this territory, and how will you guide him in terms of performing his duties?
First and foremost, I'd like to congratulate him and the people of the FCT for having a very dogged, committed, and one who is a disciplinarian in terms of managing government funds and also ensuring that things work. And that's why I'm congratulating the entire residents of the FCT and Nigerians, because if we have someone like this on the saddle, then it means we're in for something positive. On a very, very light mood, I see people setting up bands to say now we'll have a full-fledged band. We don't want the one in Patako to move down to FCT, but that they are setting up bands. So, but aside that, that shows the kind of dynamism that is in Wike. He's a very serious-minded person.
This is not a governorship position, so they can't have people beating bands everywhere and escorting him.
He's
this is a national assignment.
Person, a very serious-minded fellow who also, mix it up with not putting all these hard faces, the strong faces, but giving people hope.
Yeah, but what are the specific challenges he would have to deal with specifically within the territory?
For Governor Wike, His Excellency, who is a minister of FCT, sincerely speaking, we have 3 basic things he needs to address. Number 1, insecurity. it will interest you, or I know people will be shocked to say there is so much insecurity in the FCT, especially in the suburb. He should give serious attention to the issue of security in the FCT. Secondly, Governor Wiki should take the indigenous people of the FCT. He should take them into cognizance and ensuring that he gives them some sense of life. If you sit and then do your in-depth analysis on how these people have been handled in the FCT, it's a very sad and a sorry story compared to what is happening globally.
Especially on land
where you have the indigenous people, the aborigines. Are you talking in Canada, UK, US? The way and manner, even in the Caribbean, the way and manner they be taken care. In the FCT, as Commissioner Public Complaints Commission, who I have contact with them on daily basis, I mean every hour, the cases there are not too good. So I will want him to, look inward and ensure he captured the indigenous people of the FCT in his affairs with a view of giving them this sense of belonging, in a view of giving them some life. So that they can breathe very well.
And that's why the Public Complaints Commission is there to help him synthesize some of the complaints and then, of course, forward to his office and that of others. But quickly, before I let you go, your representative, Zafani Ajisalo, was put in place as Minister of Special Duties. There will be lots of expectations. This is the first time an FCT indigene is being brought into the cabinet. What are the challenges and advice that you think will be necessary for him to be successful in his position?
Number one, we need to first again appreciate Mr. President for breaking the jinx and making this history for the entire nation and the people of the FCT. That shows we're going to actually see a departure from where people don't even look at the rule of law as something that's very important. For Gisalo, we advise him to have the right people around him so he can actually give that leadership that we know him to have, because he is now like a mirror through which the entire world and Nigerians will see the people of FCT. So we pray he succeeds, and but that he should have the right people around him, not on partisan basis, but the right people who would deliver the services.
Yeah, well, he's out there to serve Nigerians now, and not just specifically the people of FCT. Yes. Well, Federal Commissioner, Public Complaints Commission, representing FCT, Honorable Ezekiel Dalhatu, we must thank you so much for joining us to help us understand these issues, taking it from specifically the issues of complaints that Nigerians been bringing and what their expectations are. And I'm very sure some of the ministers designated that would have been listening to you would have heard how important it is for accountability to be the key word once they get into power from Monday when they are inaugurated. Well,